Hey yo, and welcome back to the letter. We are in Rebecca's chapter. No, that's wrong. She's Scottish. I looked it up. She's Scottish. I don't know how to do a Scottish accent. I don't think I'll attempt it. I think I'll just do a British one. Close as I can get. Because Irish and Scottish is very different. And I couldn't even do the other one correctly either. But anyway, Rebecca just got to the mansion because she heard that Isabella, something happened to her, and if we all remember, Isabella had fallen down the stairs after being chased by the ghosty lady from the attic. So I don't know, because I remember Ash taking her home. So did she drive all the way over here for nothing? Who knows? Most of the guests are already heading out, though some still linger. It's mainly just to take photos of the house's facade or its various rooms. I pause for a moment, scanning the small crowd gathered in the foyer, looking for any sign that a familiar ponytail among the sea of hats and heads.
No sign of her.
No sign of the staff or Miss Cooper either. I can certainly look for Isabella on my own, but in a place this big, I'd be lucky if I didn't end up lost or find her before we need to meet with Zachary and Ash tonight. Sighing, I reach for my mobile phone and redial her number, the gesture familiar now after so many attempts earlier. If she doesn't answer, I can still try contacting Miss Cooper. I just hope the network reception will cooperate this time. This side of the county has never been popular with these tech-savvy after all. To my relief, it only took 3 unsuccessful tries. And the fourth one, right as it's about to switch to another intercepts message, the line finally rings. Silence follows while I wait for it to pick up, the ringing going far too long for my tastes. By now, most of the visitors have already cleared out. All I have for company are the faint murmurs and the eerie calmness left in their wake. A sudden hush settles and gives way to noises louder than they're ever meant to be. Doors creaking and slamming shut in some distant part of the mansion, floorboards groaning under the sheer weight of the house's history. In the now empty hall, they all reverberate with special clarity against the walls. Like this, those old stories seem to almost have a ring to truth to it. I don't get to stray far into the ugly line of thought, though, however. Not a second later, the click sounds from the other end.
Hello? Isabella? Miss Cooper called earlier and... Isabella? Belle? Are you alright?
Without any warning, the call cuts off. Busy notes blare sharply against the heavy silence. But above the noise cutting through the mute air remains faint cries of a woman. From beyond the foyer, my hands fall to my sides of the cassowary, look around, waiting for someone to come running. Surely I can't be the only one hearing this. There must still be some staff hanging around, checking things out. But no one does. Not even when her sobs turn to more frantic and anguished.
Excuse me? Hello? Who's there? Isabella? Isabella? Is that you?
Oh no, it's not Isabella, dear. No answer. Growing anxious, I amble over where her cries are coming from, each step slow and cautious, toward a door on the other end of the room. While I'm far from someone who readily gives into fear or stories lacking factual basis, the vague, restless feeling I have earlier immediately returns to me. And despite myself, my heart begins to race and my breathing quickens.
Belle? Belle, it's me. Miss Cooper called. Is everything okay?
She's long gone already. Abruptly, all of it stops. My whole body tenses, mouth dragging in a ragged breath, ears straining for any other sound yet to come from the other side. But nothing follows. Instead, the quiet only lends itself to the heavy tension in the air, as if its every small movement will disturb the fragile stillness hanging in the room. I wait for another second. Then with caution, I reach for the knob. My fingers barely graze the brass handle when The hand falls on my shoulder.
Excuse me.
Ah!
I am so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you.
It's Miss Cooper, she's alive! For now.
No, it's
Still reeling, my gaze shifts back to the door as if any second now the cries will start again, or whoever's inside will burst out the room. But I don't get to dwell on these. The woman's worried voice breaks through the haze of my mind again, oddly soothing in the thick of my unease. Even if the concerned look comes from a total stranger, finally being in the company of someone else is somehow comforting.
Ma'am? Are you okay?
Her voice... I guess I just don't remember her voice. I'm like, that doesn't sound like Rose.
oh no, I'm fine. This is probably just some cold.
Do you need to sit down?
No need. I'm actually looking for a friend.
I wave the mobile in front of her like the gesture alone explains everything. Vaguely, I note my tight grip on it and quickly slip it into my pocket before she notices. She doesn't need to know.
Well, I'm not really sure if your friend would still be here. We're actually about to close the open house in a few minutes, ma'am.
No worries. She's not a guest here. She works for Briar Realty. Miss Cooper called me earlier. In fact, I'm also looking for her.
Recognition flashes in her eyes, and her worried expression dissolves into a smile at once. It's all I need to know that I don't have to look elsewhere to venture deeper into the mansion on my own. In some way, I'm not too keen on the latter right now.
Oh, Miss Rebecca Gales, is it?
Miss Pink.
Yes. Sorry if I'm a bit late.
It's not a problem. I was busy with the open house and a few clients anyway. It's actually a good thing you came when you did. Let's see. Isabella should be here somewhere. I told her to stay put earlier. That girl never listens.
Rose? Rosie? May I have a minute? There's just this one little thing before we go.
Miss Cooper's head immediately snaps up at the voice. In a blink, a different kind of smile spreads on her face. A smile, still friendly, even, but the kind given mainly for the sake of pleasing other people rather than making friends.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there in a few.
There it is, that smile I missed. It's an impressive thing, to say the least. That level of professionalism. I suppose working years in this kind of business trains you enough to be able to pull that off without batting an eye. It certainly didn't seem to have rubbed off on Isabella, though.
Sorry, could you give me a second? I have to take care of this.
Don't worry about it. I understand. I can wait a few more minutes. Clients, right?
You won't hear anything from me. Priorities, you know? But if you want, you can stay at the parlor in the meantime. I think we have a few refreshments left.
No, thank you. I'm going out with a few friends after this. Isabella's supposed to join us too. But that depends on how she's doing, of course.
Alright, this won't be long, I promise.
I miss you, Rose. She throws back an apologetic look before sauntering over to a small group gathered at the entrance. A couple, or siblings, and another woman, probably their secretary? What the heck is that? We're all seeing this, right? Like, sometimes when you see Luke, there's like this weird, cloudy aura around him. Like that one time Zach came over. You're in a dungeon. Either way, they look no different from the other guests. All three of them primly dressed, albeit in a manner significantly simpler than the others. No frills, no extravagance of any form. But their gestures and movements alone speak volumes for their ingrained lifestyle. In their presence, I do what I can to appear inconspicuous on my side of the foyer. Maybe accepting Miss Cooper's offer would have been much better choice than standing around awkwardly and gaping at them. All while also attempting my best not to listen in on their conversation. Although that one proves more difficult with how enthusiastic the blonde woman is. Her voice easily echoes through the walls with only the 5 of us here. Pretty soon I find myself being drawn into their talk without meaning to.
Tomorrow? First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, ma'am.
Smile. The mundane talk isn't what catches my attention, however.
Very well. We'll have our lawyers prepare everything as soon as possible. Let's make this whole thing easier for everyone, shall we? Just let me know if there's anything you need from me. You know how to contact me, yes?
Got your mobile number saved here already.
Good. It's just a matter of time then.
It's a brief moment, a fleeting shift in my eye.
Monday for us, Marianne.
As long as you're positive, we won't be having any problems by that time. You can count on my team.
You worry too much. Let me handle those things. Do be thrilled, though. I imagine it's not every day you get projects like this, hmm?
And the instant I turn my gaze on him, I see it.
Oh, I'm certain Mint's ecstatic, Buttercup. Aren't you, Marianne? You know, we could all celebrate this with a few drinks. Why don't we? In fact, there's this really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
Looming, hovering over his shoulders, drawn to him like a moth to a flame, a dark blur. Okay, so it's supposed to be there. No one noticed it. No one else is noticing this. Rebecca notices. It's weird, because, like, I guess the way Rebecca's chapter is gonna go is, like, she was actually in most instances. It's just that not in a way anyone would notice. No. A shadow.
I think I'll pass on that, sir. I have more important matters to attend to.
Is the audio supposed to sound like that? Because that sounded awful.
Mother love, she's busy.
Oh, that's okay. It's supposed to sound like that.
Such a shame. You never let me do anything fun.
But as I try to make sense of it, a heavy feeling descends over my whole body. It happens without warning, forcing me to close my eyes. The sensation creeps over every part of me, crawling under my skin, and draining me little by little of any strength. Before I know it, my hands are gripping the nearby door for support. The sudden nausea drowns out the voices of what little sounds there is, all except for the whispering and laughters. Judging, mocking, taunting. Muffled, inaudible words bearing down on me like a death sentence. They wrap around my neck and limbs, binding, tightening with every syllable, every utterance. And with each draw of breath I take, they drag me down slowly, almost painfully, into a bottomless abyss. On, and on, and on, until the sound turns into mere distant echoes. Until suddenly it shatters.
Well, what are we waiting for? Are we done here?
Where is your shadow, sir? His voice rips through the fog like a sharp blade and my eyes snap open. When I look at them again, it's gone.
You can head back to the car first if you want, Luke. I hope that settles everything, Rose. I don't know what Isabel's problem is, but please make sure she doesn't hurt herself. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Likewise, ma'am.
No shadows or dark clouds. Only amicable smiles and cordial handshakes, the usual pleasantries, as Miss Cooper leads them out of the mansion like a graceful host. None of the group seems to have noticed it. And even as I force my breathing to calm down, keep my eyes trained on their backs, and waiting for something to happen, it doesn't come back. She returns a moment later. Gently she closes the great doors behind her, but there's a smile on her lips and an extra skip in her step when she walks back to me. Whatever she was discussing with the group had put her in a good mood. Even she appears to have not observed anything odd. I was just seeing things.
Glad that was over. It's been a long day. I thought for sure we were going to... hey, are you sure you're doing okay? You look a bit green.
Like my hair.
It's all good. I'm actually still recovering from a cold. Weather's been crazy lately.
That must be it. The weather, the stupid cold, and the friendly warnings I'm too stubborn to listen to. As much as I hate to admit it, Isabella's right. I was and still am a little feverish when she visited me at the school this morning. The medicine helped, of course, but only some. Although it's not like I can't function, I did get better after lunch, and I was able to go through my schedule like the usual. Now I'm not so sure. However, I can't keep acting like I've seen something out of apparition when it's anything but. I simply must have listened too many times to Isabella last week. My fever-muddled mind has started to confuse things. If this doesn't let up, I need to get another visit to my doctor. Plain and simple. Though I do hope it won't get worse. I did promise to watch Zachary's film together.
I know what you mean. I've been complaining to Isabel. It doesn't seem to affect her much, though. Must be because she grew up in the tropics. Anyway, shall we? She's probably hanging out with the rest of the catering staff.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised she's there. She eats like 10 hungry men when she isn't feeling well. Lead the way.
With a small nod, she gestures for me to follow. I do so without much thought, finally putting everything in the back of my mind. The entire visit took a whole 24 minutes, and my trip to the mansion, as it turns out, is a useless endeavor in and of itself. Isabel is no longer there, left shortly before I arrived. Or at least, that's what the few staff who saw her assumed. None of them knew where she went, but I can take a few guesses. There are only a number of places in Luxembourg she frequents, and, well, she never been the complex kind. She doesn't really take a genius to figure it out. Still, it's odd she left on her own. She could have at least waited for Miss Cooper. It would have saved her having to pay the cab fare twice today.
And right after she was told to stay put. I mean, who does that?
Isabel.
Oh, sod off! You don't own the road!
In the end, all Miss Cooper could give me were a string of apologies for my trouble and a request to let her know when I find Isabella. The whole affair didn't even last long. I probably spent more time traveling back and forth. Soon enough, I'm weaving my way back into downtown Luxembourg, worried sick on top of that. Maybe a little annoyed. Whether that the unexpected turn of events or at Isabella herself, I'd rather not think about it for now. Not when I'm already running late for Zachary's film. Besides, I'm perfectly sure that's where I'll find her. As one would expect, people are already gathered at the movie house when I get to it. The small avenue where it's located has been closed off early from any passing traffic to make way for the avid moviegoers who are sure to crowd the venue. I have to park almost a street away and walk the remaining distance because of it. Looking for them has taken a while in a crowd this big, but eventually I spot them near the entrance. Thanks to Zachary, mostly. And like I've surmised, Isabella is with them.
I knew it.
Wasting no time, I marched over there with their little group. Words filled with concern tumble out of my mouth before I can stop myself.
Isabella! Oh, thank goodness! Becca, you're just in time.
An odd expression crosses her face as I hold it with both hands, but I ignored in favor of getting a good look at her, forcing her to keep still and fix her gaze at me.
Becca, you're squishing my face. How are you? Are you all right? Why wouldn't I be?
There doesn't seem to be any visible injury, nor does she appear to be in pain. Apart from her confused frown at my question, she looks pretty much like she would any other day. Even so, you can't really tell those things with her at first glance. The last time she got sick, she never bothered to call anyone. Even me, who lives right next door. If I hadn't checked on her then, she probably would have died on her bed with the rest of us none the wiser. It's the one thing we laugh about now, but moments like those also teaches you something about a person. If anything, it's given me more reason to constantly worry about her now. The moment a familiar name comes up, I know my concerns right now aren't completely baseless.
Rose called me earlier.
Her expression swiftly changes, and gently as she can, Isabella pushes my hands away. Yet even before she says anything, I already have a hunch how this whole thing will play out.
Oh, no, everything's good. Rose covered for me at work today.
That's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
Then and there, the whole conversation goes down, as I've imagined. She dodges my hand when I reach the back of her head, intending to check the said injury myself. Even makes the show of hiding behind Zachary just to avoid me. Instantly, what's supposed to be a simple inquiry dissolves into a shameless game of tag. Shouting and chasing like none of us can be bothered to act like full-grown adults we're all supposed to be. Including Ashton. I won't put it past Isabella, but Ash? Out of everyone? In fact, if that stupid smirk on his face tells me anything, he finds this whole mess amusing. Oh, for the love of...
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this, just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
There's a moment's pause. My hand still mid-air as my attention shifts to Ashton, and the words he leaves hanging between the four of us. He doesn't meet my eye. I don't think he's even aware of what he said. But the meaning in which each syllable alone is clear. And they echo. They sting. They burn.
I'm sorry. Saw her?
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Of course. Of course. Why else would Isabella leave on her own after being told to stay put after that little chat about money this morning? Something close to silence falls while I mull over their words. Both what's already been said and what's left unspoken. When I do find my voice, it only reeks with nothing but bitter, unpleasant thoughts. Thoughts I quickly stamp out before they surface. Thoughts I hide the best I can in the deepest parts of my mind, locking it away for no one to see.
Oh, that's good. At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
You're hiding it so well! Yet as try as I might, the green-eyed monster easily rears its ugly head. Like it always does every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle, far too sincere whenever he thinks no one can see. Every time my mind suggests his words mean more than they should. Every small little thing. Despite what he says, despite his tone.
Look, you guys.
For all I know, it may just be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. Maybe I'm simply overthinking, like he often tells me, or maybe there's really something there. But in his short display of impatience, I know the whole of it is just for show. After all, growing up together with him didn't teach me nothing about him. For whose sake is it this time, though? For him? For Zachary? For her? Or for me? That I can't tell.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, if I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
My mouth opens and snaps shut almost as quickly, forming a thin, hard line instead. I can't respond, not because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's plenty. So many things I can use to reason and get him to agree. But because he speaks so much certainty with much reassurance, it feels like there isn't even a choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath, a reluctant nod, and the face of it. Before I can get a grip on myself, my own weakness, the mood immediately shifts, and I'm being tackled into a hug.
Thanks, Becca.
It's always been you with him, isn't it?
You're being so subtle! So subtle!
Did you say something?
Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
A lie, obviously. What else can it be? Each and every smile, a tiny effort to keep things as they are, or so I tell myself. Little do I know, it's merely permeable. It starts out quietly, and without fanfare amidst friendly jibes, and a harmless teasing with a scrap of paper fluttering harmlessly to the ground. Ah, this moment again. One that looks suspiciously like a cheap Halloween prank no matter how you look at it. And yet, despite how ludicrous it all is, Isabella stubbornly insists, as if our whole life depends on acknowledging the truth in her story. Does she even realize how absurd she sounds now? Crivens, even my students wouldn't fall for this.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
She doesn't even give me the time to regret nor think over my choice of words. From there it grows into an argument too petty even for our standard as adults. Before we know it, one after another, harsh, scathing words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up.
Like, this is very shitty of them, honestly.
There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
Exactly. I thought you were my friends. You would at least listen to her. She's obviously in a panic state instead of just shutting her down. But someone has to be patient in all this, and however much my own has already been frayed earlier, there's no one else. Who else here can deal with someone selfishly acting like a kid? How can you... That's not... Okay. Like every other time, it has to be me.
We are, and you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Just like that, she cuts us off. Slams the door right in our faces while my own temper flares before I can stop it. Although it falters briefly at the hard expression on her, she snatches the blasted paper from Ashton. I hold on to it. Regardless of how upset she appears, soured expression and bald fist throwing a tantrum is simply unacceptable. For a grown woman at that. Words form at the tip of my tongue ready. Before I can open my mouth and let it all out, her feelings and mistakes be damned, Zachary raises his own voice.
Guys!
A warning underneath the warm and hopeful beat in his voice. We all stop to look at him, and even my own anger subsides a little at his tone.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her. And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
To an outsider, it may sound like a desperate request, but Zachary has always been the one to keep a level head over the petty squabbles. This time's no different. He knows what to say, and when he lets it fall, they only ring sharp and true.
We haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. Please.
And as careful as he is with his own tone, it does make me feel ashamed. We're supposed to be here for him, to give what little support we can give, yet here he is trying to keep 3 stubborn people from outright hashing it out in public. Later we can and will talk about it, of course. There is a proper time and place for it. At the moment, my anger and whatever reprimands it carry no longer matter. Besides me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. The lines of his shoulders ease to something much more relaxed, his expression back to the usual nonchalance. Oh, Isabel, however. She stands perfectly still, her hands grasping the straps of her bag, like a lifeline, eyes trained on some point near her shoes. There's no anger in her face, only an undeniable hurt. But she's never been good at hiding what she thinks. Always the open book, always one to wear her heart out in the open. And when she looks up, her answer is also as simple.
If we keep arguing here, we're going to miss the first few minutes.
Her lips are curled up in a smile. Though lacking both its usual brightness and glee, it's a smile nonetheless. I've seen it countless times. It's the very same one she would show when she knows, has no other choice. Something's weird with that sentence. Or simply when things get tough for her. But despite everything I already know about her, it still catches me off guard. In all honesty, I expect her to run, to bulk at the first sign of losing this time. I won't even be surprised. At 26, she is the youngest among the rest of us. Less experienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Yet here she is, holding herself and coping with it like how she would with matters concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she has always been this childish, naive girl, and watching the opposite play out right now. Somehow, I find it difficult to wrap my head around it.
All right, that's the Isabella I know.
Oh, good. I thought for sure you were going to cry.
But I envy her.
What was that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby! I'm not one!
Aw, don't cry.
Stop it!
I envy her spirit, her warmth, her cheer, the shine in her eyes when she looks at the world. How everything seems so simple. How everything seems to simply fall back to a pleasant, lively rhythm with her around. How easily and tightly she fits into our lives, even without bonds only long years could forge, like lost piece of a puzzle despite her jagged edges. How she draws people to her with ease. How Ashton, of all people, can be drawn to her.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too! If you repeat that, I swear I'll...
Let's just go.
I make no effort keeping the bitterness from my tone. I let it seep, linger stiffly in the air as I avert my gaze from them. From their playful banter, their friendly teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles. All before the stabbing aches in my heart changes into something too painful to bear. It's all in my head, is what I'd often tell myself. Yet the way my heart rends at just the sight of them hurts. Like a coward, I walk away from it all, taking with me a small hope the movie will distract me from these thoughts. Because like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. Dusk has already given way tonight when we leave the film fest. And as they leave the film fest, I will be leaving this video because I am out of time. Oh, Rebecca! Rebecca! Oh, you poor, poor thing. You have no chance. I've already insured Ash and Isabella's get-together. And you're just a third wheel. Just kidding. You poor thing. Don't worry. You'll find love. Somewhere else. Just not with Ashton. Don't chase a man who doesn't want you. I've learned that the hard way. The more you know. Alright, but anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell so you know when I post. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!